The Orion Armada hung over Earth like a lid on a dying flame. Rows of alien warships formed a black lattice across the upper atmosphere, blotting out constellations that had guided humanity for millennia. Through orbital gaps, streaks of debris shimmered, remnants of defense stations burned out in the first week of the blockade. In the streets, markets were hushed, queues for ration lines winding through cratered avenues. In the shelters, people whispered over crackling speakers as alien broadcasts cycled demands for unconditional surrender. The voice was cold, mechanical, stripped of emotion. Compliance ensures preservation. Beneath the ruins of Geneva, Captain Elias Vorn stepped into the dim glow of the United Nations Defense Command bunker. The stale air carried the scent of oil and metal dust, the result of weeks of non-stop repairs on the underground comm arrays. He adjusted the cuff of his black service jacket as the guards at the blast door stepped aside. Inside the main chamber, holographic projectors cast a faint blue over the table where Admiral Jian waited. The old man's uniform was frayed at the edges. His expression was sharper than any starship blade. "Captain," Jian said, his voice steady despite the thinness that came from sleepless nights. "It's time. Project Titan is active." The words hit with the weight of a verdict. Elias leaned forward. "Authorization came through?" Jian tapped a code into the console. "You'll command Resolute, lead ship of the Titan fleet. 3 more are ready: Indomitable, Vanguard, Ironclad. Location, classified until departure. Your mission, break the blockade, destroy the Orion flagship, and shatter their morale before reinforcements arrive." Elias studied the rotating image of the enemy fleet. Even with 4 dreadnoughts, the odds were brutal. "If we fail?" Jian didn't flinch. "Then Earth burns." The feed cut, leaving only the hum of the bunker's power core. Elias stood a moment in the darkened room before heading for the transport lift. Far above, in the opulent command bridge of the Jarrah, High Admiral Kshar Dravik reviewed fleet status reports. Tall and imposing, his carapace gleamed under the ship's golden lighting. Around him, sub-commanders reported in clipped, formal tones. "The human resistance is fragmented," one officer said. "Surface forces will not survive another month of siege." Dravik allowed a thin smile. "They never had a month to begin with. They just don't know it yet." Another officer hesitated. "High Admiral, our scouts detected anomalous energy surges in the outer Sol system. Likely interference from the local star, yet you waste my time with ghost readings." Dravik cut in. "Human ships are primitive. There is no hidden fleet." He dismissed the report with a wave of a clawed hand. "Proceed with blockade protocol. No ship leaves. No ship lands." The underground hangar smelled of ozone and cold steel. Elias stepped out of the lift onto the gantry, the vast shape of the UNS Resolute filling his vision. Nearly a kilometer in length, the dreadnought bristled with gun batteries, missile bays, and the massive spinal railgun running the length of its frame. Armor plates, layered with composite alloys, shone under floodlights. Commander Ria Salas met him halfway across the platform. Tall, sharp-eyed, her uniform crisp despite the long months of siege duty. "We've been ready for 3 days," she said. "Waiting on you to get the order. Now we have it," Elias replied. He glanced toward the engineers swarming over final checks. "How's the railgun?" "Charged. Calibrated to within a millimeter. Chief Qureshi says she'll fire clean." Chief Engineer Malik Qureshi popped up from a service hatch, wiping grease from his hands. "And if she doesn't, Captain, you can blame me personally." Elias allowed the faintest grin. "Noted. Let's launch." The Resolute's engines came alive, the deck thrumming beneath Elias's boots as the crew ran final sequences. Outside the hangar doors, the Kuiper belt lay in shadow, fragments of ice and rock drifting silently. The solar storm's interference painted comms and static, perfect cover for their departure. One by one, the other 3 dreadnoughts slid from hidden docks, black hulls catching the faint light of distant Sol. On the main display, their names appeared alongside tactical signatures: Indomitable, Vanguard, Ironclad. The last hope of their species. "Fleet formed and standing by," Ria reported. Set course for interception point Theta 7, Elias said. Minimal emissions. We stay ghosts until the first strike. The Orion patrol swept along the edge of the belt, their cruisers' running lights glinting off jagged ice. They passed without noticing the shadows in their wake. From the Resolute's bridge, Elias watched their blip fade on the tactical grid. They didn't see us, Malik said. They weren't looking, Elias replied. His eyes stayed on the starfield ahead, cold and sharp. They think we're broken. That's their mistake. Silence hung on the bridge, heavy and focused. Every officer knew what was coming. In days, perhaps hours, the first shots would be fired. If they failed, those shots would be humanity's last. As the dreadnoughts glided deeper into the black, Earth turned slowly far behind them, a pale sphere caught between the jaws of an enemy armada. The Orion patrol never had a chance. 4 dreadnoughts emerged from the void, silent until the instant the trap closed. Resolute led, her railgun discharging a streak of white fury that punched through the lead cruiser's core. Vanguard and Ironclad unleashed missile spreads, each warhead splitting into submunitions that chewed through alien shields like acid. Indomitable's broadside guns hammered the flanks, tearing metal into molten fragments. First wave neutralized, Rhea reported, voice steady. Elias kept his eyes on the tactical overlay. No survivors transmitting distress? Negative. We jammed them before the first hit. The wrecks drifted apart, their heat bleeding into the cold black. The battle had lasted less than 2 minutes. But its real effect was psychological. When word reached the Armada, it would be the first sign their grip on Sol wasn't unbreakable. Across light years of encrypted channels, Orion officers argued over the reports. On the Jarrah, Dravik's War Council convened in the shadow of the flagship's towering viewscreen. 4 human warships destroyed a patrol squadron in 91 seconds, one captain said, claws drumming on the table. Exaggerations, Dravik said, though his voice was less certain than before. They must have used mines or traps. Human ships cannot overpower Orion shields. Then they have upgraded their weapons, the intelligence chief replied. Or they built something new. Dravik studied the holomap of Sol. If they have, we will draw them out and break them. His claws traced a glowing sector. There. The ion rift. They enter it, they die. Back aboard Resolute, Malik monitored engineering readouts as the fleet regrouped beyond the patrol's last known position. We could make them think there are more of us, he said, not looking up from the console. Elias turned toward him. Explain. Scattered, encrypted transmissions across the system, fake traffic patterns. If the Orions intercept them, they'll believe we have a dozen dreadnought groups moving independently. Rhea smirked. Fear works faster than torpedoes. Elias nodded once. Do it. Within hours, false signals pulsed through the comm spectrum. Alien eavesdroppers caught half-finished commands, bursts of tactical code that, to an outsider, hinted at entire phantom fleets. The bait worked. Dravik, seeking to crush what he assumed was a dispersed force, sent a heavily armed task group to the Ion Rift, a storm-churned nebula laced with electrical currents. Alien doctrine relied on tight formations and sensor superiority. Inside the rift, their advantage became a liability. When the dreadnoughts entered the outer edge, static crawled across the displays. Bolts of violet lightning rippled through the gas clouds, lighting the interiors with ghostly flashes. Contacts closing, 3 points, Rhea said. Formations are tight, exactly how we wanted them. Elias studied the incoming vectors. They think the rift will blind us. Malik? Shields holding at 97%. Ion bursts won't cut through our composite relays. Then we end it here. The alien ships fired first, beams slicing through the haze. They struck where the dreadnoughts had been seconds earlier, decoys, each drone projecting the heat signature of a battleship. From above the ambush zone, Resolute's real guns opened fire. Armor-shearing slugs tore into the lead Orion destroyer, rupturing its reactor. Indomitable followed with a railgun salvo that collapsed another cruiser in a blossom of plasma. The Orion fleet tried to scatter, but the storm betrayed them. Ion surges flared off their hulls, revealing their positions in pulsing arcs. Vanguard's missile swarm hunted them through the maelstrom, detonating in chain reactions that lit the rift like a dying star. Then a blast struck Indomitable broadside, tearing away armor and venting fire into space. "Damage to port stabilizers," came the strained voice of Captain Day from Indomitable. Malik's hands flew over controls. "If we cycle their shield generators in sequence, they can hold until nothing," Elias cut in. "Do it now." Power surged between ships in tight formation, Resolute's reactors feeding energy into Indomitable's weakened grid. It was dangerous. If the Orions targeted the link, both ships could be crippled. But the link held. Minutes later, the rift was quiet. Fragments of alien hull drifted in clouds of gas, glowing faintly from residual heat. Elias surveyed the aftermath from the command chair. "Status? Minor damage to Vanguard. Indomitable holding at 65% shield integrity," Rhea replied. "No losses." Elias exhaled. In the silence that followed, the victory's weight settled differently. It wasn't relief, not yet. Just the knowledge that the fight was far from over. Later, in the medbay, antiseptic filled the air. A medic sealed a shallow burn along Elias's arm from a burst conduit during the battle. Rhea stood near the door, arms crossed. "You took risks out there," she said. "Calculated risks?" Elias replied without looking up. Her tone sharpened. "There's talk of hitting their supply lines. Civilian haulers. You want to win fast? That's one way." Elias finally met her gaze. "We don't have the luxury of clean options. Every day we wait, they tighten the blockade. And every line we cross now," she countered, "is one we may never uncross." He didn't answer. The hum of the med equipment filled the silence until she turned and left. On the Jarrak, confirmation reached Dravik's desk. Only 4 human dreadnoughts had been detected. He smiled for the first time in days. "Then they can be destroyed. Tighten the blockade. Bring every gun to bear on Sol. They will not pass." In his mind, the trap was closing. But in the cold black between worlds, 4 human warships altered course toward Earth. The final move was coming. Earth hung ahead, its oceans glinting beneath the distant sun, framed by the black wall of the Orion blockade. Hundreds of alien warships orbited in layered formations, their hulls lit with the steady blink of shield generators. The dreadnought fleet coasted in silent approach from Mars's shadow, every crew member strapped in, every weapon primed. On Resolute's bridge, Elias studied the tactical grid. 3 minutes to contact. We break through their outer screen, then aim for Jarrak. Rhea's voice was level. Earth's defense grid is synced. They'll open fire the moment we make a gap. Malik adjusted engineering power flow. Shields will hold for the first run, but after that, we'll be trading armor. That's all we need, Elias said. Once the flagship falls, the rest won't hold position. The first wave hit them in a storm of light. Alien beams clawed at Resolute's shields, scattering across invisible barriers. The dreadnoughts returned fire in precise bursts, railgun rounds punching holes in destroyers, missile salvos hunting the larger cruisers. Explosions blossomed across the darkness, throwing jagged shadows across the hulls. Outer screen collapsing, Rhea called. We're through in 60 seconds. Push it, Elias ordered. Vanguard's forward batteries ripped open a battlecruiser's flank, atmosphere venting in a flash freeze plume. Ironclad plowed through debris, armor scorched but intact. Then the blockade's inner ring shifted, and the Jarrak emerged from the formation, prow lit in gold. Dravik's voice broke over the calm, low and measured. Captain Vorn? You should have stayed hidden. Now your people will watch you die. Elias didn't flinch. That's the difference between us, Admiral. I'm here so they can see me fight. He cut the channel and gave the order. All ships target the flagship. The 2 giants closed distance, trading fire with punishing accuracy. The Jarrak's forward cannon struck Resolute's bow, shearing armor plates and sending a tremor through the deck. Elias braced against the chair as the railgun crew fired again, One round smashed into the alien ship's port side, blooming fire along its length. "Port maneuvering thrusters offline," Malik shouted. "Compensate with railgun recoil," Elias said without hesitation. "Fire and sequence to pivot." The Resolute's massive weapon discharged, the force twisting the ship's orientation just enough to keep its main batteries locked on target. Alien gunners tried to counter, but each human's salvo carved deeper into their shields. Meanwhile, Indomitable and Vanguard split to engage the flagship's escorts, holding them off with relentless barrages. Ironclad absorbed fire meant for Resolute, her reinforced plating blackening under the heat. Rhea stepped up beside Elias. "We won't get another clean shot. Let me take a boarding team." He didn't look away from the fight. "They'll cut you down before you reach. They won't see us coming. You keep them busy. I'll end it from inside." A moment's pause, then a sharp nod. "Go." Minutes later, Resolute's ventral bay opened, releasing a cluster of gunships racing toward the Jarrah. Under the cover of Ironclad's withering fire, Rhea's team breached an auxiliary docking port. Inside, they moved through dim corridors lit by emergency strips, cutting down Orion guards and bursts of plasma fire. At the flagship's targeting control chamber, Rhea planted charges along the primary conduits. A final volley from Jarrah shook the walls as she triggered detonation. The lights died, alien weapon arrays falling silent across the ship's hull. On Resolute, Elias seized the moment. "Main batteries, all forward. Fire for effect." Every dreadnought in range unleashed everything: railguns, missile banks, and beam cannons pounding the Jarrah's unshielded hull. One final railgun slug from Resolute tore through the flagship's command spine. Fire and shrapnel vented into space, scattering like burning confetti. On the alien bridge, Dravik refused to give the order to withdraw. Flames rose around him as the deck tilted, but his voice stayed defiant. "You will never." His words ended in static as the Jarrah erupted in a silent explosion, fragments tumbling into the void. The sudden loss of their flagship rippled through the Orion fleet. Ships broke formation, scattering in disarray. Some fired parting salvos before accelerating away, others powered down weapons and drifted, crews unwilling to fight without orders. From Earth's surface, streaks of retreating vessels lit the night sky. Cities erupted in cheers as the blockade fractured. The defense grid shifted to mop-up operations, hunting stragglers fleeing the system. On Resolute's bridge, Elias watched the tactical map clear. "Signal the fleet, cease fire. Secure survivors for intelligence." Rhea's voice came over the comm, steady but edged with fatigue. "Targeting systems are rubble. They won't be a threat again." "Good work," he said quietly. "Come home." Hours later, Earth's orbit was littered with debris fields and drifting wrecks. Rescue shuttles moved among them, picking up escape pods, human and alien alike. The Dreadnoughts took station over the planet, their battle scars visible even from the surface. Elias stood at the viewport, watching repair crews move across Resolute's hull. Rhea joined him, her armor scorched and dented from the boarding action. "They'll come back," she said. "Maybe," he replied. "But not tomorrow. And when they do, they'll remember this day." She gave a faint smile. "The day 4 ships broke an Empire's grip." Later, in the communications bay, Elias recorded a transmission to the galaxy. His voice was calm, carrying the weight of victory without triumphalism. "This is Captain Elias Vorn of Earth. The Orion Armada came to end us. They failed. We stand ready to defend our home, our people, and our future. Let this be understood: humanity does not yield." The message pulsed into deep space, bouncing from relay to relay, destined for every listening post within 100 light-years. In the quiet that followed, Elias returned to the bridge. Outside, Earth turned slowly, blue and green under the sunlight. The war was not over, but the siege was broken. "Set course for high orbit," he said. "We'll hold the line here." Rhea took the helm, and the Resolute moved into position, its silhouette cutting across the curve of the planet, a scarred guardian watching the world it had just saved.